Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Justina and here I like to make, create, and inspire fun art things with you. As you see by the title, I have 5 amazing DIYs for you today. That is a continuation of my sweets bar that I'm trying to make this year. If you missed the first video, I'll make sure to link it in the description box below. If you are new here, I hope you stick around by clicking that big red subscribe button down below. If you love all things Halloween, I hope you smash up that thumbs up button. It really does help out my channel. And without further ado, let's art today. For our first DIY today, I wanted to make little pudding cups using this shot glass cup set that I found at Dollar Tree. It is so cute. They have little skull hands holding the side of the glass. Well, they're not really glass, they're little plastic cups, but I thought they were so adorable and perfect for my sweets bar. For my pudding itself, I had some leftover whipped cream from a previous project where I made a 3-tiered cake. It was in my last video. If you have missed out on that, I'll make sure to leave it here in a card for you and also in the description box below, but all I did was add that to the cups. For added texture, I wanted to incorporate these foam beads. So I have these green ones and these purple ones that I just put on a platter and I mix up with a popsicle stick so that they're well incorporated. After they had a nice toss, I'm just adding it to the pudding cup itself, just right on top. As you see here, I am pushing down so that the pudding can hold the beads in together so that they don't fall out later. For the second cup, I added the beads first, then some pudding, and then I added beads again. And with both cups, I added a dollop of whipped cream on top. And as you see here, the second pudding cup has the beads on the bottom. Now, I am still sticking to the Beetlejuice theme as my first video, so you will still see a lot of greens and purples. I wanted to add one more decoration part to my pudding cups, so I found this cupcake kit and it has these little skewers in it with Frankenstein on one side and bats on the other, and all I did was take the bats and place them in the center of the pudding cups, and that completes this DIY. Here is a quick view of my pudding cups, and I do apologize for my lighting. It was very late at night and my light was a little bit off, but nonetheless, I would love to know what you think about this DIY down in the comment section below, and make sure you stick around to the very end so you can see all of my DIYs today. Another great addition to my little Halloween sweets bar is this Beetlejuice coffee cup that my spouse owns that we purchased from Spirit, I believe 2 years ago. And it is awesome. One side has Lydia's saying and the other side has the Beetlejuice logo. Now I want to make a coffee cup topper, and I've seen 100 different ways on how to do it, but I wanted to try my own little way. So I grabbed a scrap piece of cardboard and I placed the cup upside down onto it. Now I'm just trying to find the best placement for it. Then I took a Sharpie marker and I started tracing the outside of the lid onto the cardboard box. Once that was done, I took a pair of scissors and I started cutting out that circle. I did take the cup over to the sink and wash that off too, because I did get some Sharpie marker onto my cup and I didn't want to ruin it. Now, I didn't want my topper to fall off my cup, so to remedy that, I found these 3 cubes that Dollar Tree carries in their Crafters Square section, and I'm going to add it to the cardboard circle as you see here. First, I added some tape so I could get a feel of where to put the cubes, and now I'm taking the cubes to the side and adding some hot glue so that it can fit nicely into the cup so that it doesn't fall off when you move the cup around. Just a quick disclaimer, this is just for decoration purposes. It's not safe to drink from this lid on top of your cup. Next, I took some masking tape and I taped all around the edges of that cardboard piece because I didn't want to see the edges, and this gives me a nice smooth area to start decorating later. Then I added little slits of that masking tape and pushed down firmly, and here's how it looks so far. The next thing I needed was something for the center of my cup topper, so I found these mushrooms at Dollar Tree, and the head of the mushrooms was a perfect size for it. Now be careful when removing the center of it because it does have a toothpick and it is really sharp. I removed that and I'm going to add that part in the middle of my little cup topper. I'm just using my hot glue gun and my all-purpose hot glue stick to adhere it to the cardboard box. Now it's time to decorate the cup topper, and the first thing I'm adding is my frosting. Now to make my frosting, I usually use lightweight spackle and then I add some acrylic paints to it. So that's all I did was add a green acrylic paint to one cup and a purple acrylic paint to the other cup, added it to my piping bag, and as you see here, I'm just piping it onto the cardboard circle, and I'm going in a circular motion as if I was frosting a cupcake or a cake itself. I continue until I reach the very top. Now to decorate my little cup topper, I love to use Crafter's Square glass beads as my sprinkles. These look just like sprinkles, at least to me, and I do place each one of those sprinkles one by one. It does get a little tedious, but the finished product looks amazing. Now you can try to throw on the sprinkles, but at least in my case, every time I try to do that, they just fall right off. You actually have to place them into the frosting itself, and once the frosting dries, it holds everything together and nothing comes out. So since this is a Beetlejuice cup, I wanted to stay on theme. So I have these party umbrellas that I got on clearance a while back. This has to be years ago. Anyway, still have them on my stash, and I want to change this umbrella like the one in the movie. I just took my black and white Posca paint markers and I painted them in black and white stripes. It did take me about 2 coats of paint using my Posca paint markers, and I had to be really gentle because it is tissue paper. For added detail, I'm adding a little bat on top of this umbrella because just like the one in the movie, it had a little bat, and I'm just using my hot glue gun to attach it to the umbrella. Once that was dry, I found this skull that is supposed to be a glass filler, and they have these little holes at the top of their heads, so I just pushed down the umbrella into his skull. The next thing I wanted to do was add the whole piece to the top of my cup topper, and I'm using a little bit of hot glue to attach everything down to the frosting. For the last bit of decorations, I have these spider rings that I purchased, I believe from Walmart or Big Lots. I can't remember, but they had a whole bunch, and I cut off the ring part and added them to the frosting. For the last bit of detail, I did take some black acrylic paint and paint the bottom of my cake topper, and that completes this DIY. As you see, I just placed it right back on top of the cup, and this is how it turned out. I absolutely love it, but as always, I would love to know what you think about this DIY down in the comments below. For the next part of my little Halloween spooky sweets bar, I wanted to make cupcakes. So as you see here, I have orange cupcake liners and this Halloween cupcake liners that I purchased from the Dollar Tree. To make my cupcake itself, I like to use great stuff, gaps and cracks to make that cake portion. As you see here, I'm just shaking the can and adding it to the cupcake liner. Now, the best way I learned to do this is to go as slow as possible and try to stay in a circular motion and only fill it up about 2/3 of the way because it does expand out 1 inch each direction. I did let my cupcakes set up overnight, and this is how they turned out. They're nice and hard, and as you see here, this is the only one that actually turned out pretty good, but no need to worry because I do cover them up anyways using some frosting. To make my frosting, I like to use that Fast and Final lightweight spackling. I purchased mine from Lowe's, but they're pretty much everywhere. Even Dollar Tree carries a really small one. I just like to add it to a cup and then add some acrylic paints in whichever color I'm going for. So as you see here, I'm adding some orange acrylic paint to the spackling, and then I just mix it up until everything's well incorporated. And if you want a darker color, you just keep adding that acrylic paint until you get the desired look that you're going for. Once I was done, I did then add it to a piping bag. I also added some white spackling into the piping bag as well because I did want a two-tone color frosting cupcake. Now, I first added a dollop in the center, but then I realized it was better to go from the bottom edges all the way up to the top. Now, I'm not going so extreme with the frosting on each of these cupcakes. I'm trying to keep it a very low profile to mimic more of a cupcake look. I continue frosting the rest of my cupcakes. Now for my cupcakes, I wanted to keep them a little simple because there is a lot more that I want to do to this sweets bar that I'm going for this year that I'm really excited about. So each cupcake will have a matching set. For the first one, I added this bat skewer that came in that cupcake kit set, and I added it right into the cupcake itself. Since that is foam, it's stuck in nicely. For the second cupcake set, I'm adding just a spider ring to it, and it fits right perfectly on top. And then for the third one, I did add some sprinkles to them one by one until everything was adhered to where I like it. And here's how my cupcakes turned out. I absolutely love it. As you see here, I did add a pumpkin with the back cupcake, but as always, I would love to know what you think about this DIY down in the comments section below. As I was looking around Dollar Tree, I found these circular floral foams in their floral section, and the first thing that popped into my head were cake pops. So that's what I want to make out of these little circular floral foams, is cake pops. So after I removed them from the package, I found some skewer sticks, and I want to place the skewer sticks into the middle of those balls, and all I did was push for goodness, who thought talking would be so hard? Does anybody else have that problem when they're just talking so much that they start to fumble over their own words, or is it just me? Anyways, after each one of them has a stick onto the ball, I need to make some white chocolate, and to do so, I'm just using some caulk that I purchased from Dollar Tree, adding it to the cup, and now adding some purple acrylic paint to it. I mix it up until I get the consistency that I'm going for. After I was done mixing, I then added the ball right into the cup, and I started twisting it back and forth just to get some of that mixture onto the ball itself. Then I took a popsicle stick and added the rest onto it. Now 2 balls will be purple and the other 2 will have green. I also wanted each cake pop to have different decorations on them. So for the first cake pop, I added some of these green and purple foam balls to the top of it. For my next cake pop, I found some puffy paint in the color white, and I'm just going in a zigzag motion back and forth on top of the cake pop until I got the desired look that I'm going for. For this cake pop, it's obviously green, and now I'm taking that same puffy paint and I'm going to make a little spider web on top of this cake pop. For this cake pop, I did add both green and purple. I was trying to get a marble look. And then for the decorations, I just dipped it into those glass beads for sprinkles. I did let them completely dry for a couple of hours, and now it's time to make the handles of my cake pops. I found this paper straw in my collection and I just cut it in half so that it will be the perfect height for my cake pops. I then took some hot glue, added to the bottom of the cake pops, pushed the straw into the glue and hold it until it completely dried. I did want to add some more details to my cake pop, so I found this black curling ribbon in my stash and I start unraveling a really long piece, cut it down to size. Then after I did that, I folded it in half and started cutting it until I had 4 strands on each side. I hope that makes sense, but I have 4 pieces after cutting it in half twice. Next, I started tying it around the cake pop, and then I add a little bit of hot glue so that it holds it into place, and then I pull tightly. Once the hot glue had time to dry, I then took a pair of scissors and started curling that curling ribbon. All you want to do is put the scissor blade onto the ribbon and pull tautly, not too tight or firmly because you don't want to cut yourself, but just enough to curl that ribbon. And that completes this DIY. Here's how my cake pops turned out. I did add them to this little beaker right here just for decor purposes and for you to see them displayed, but I absolutely love it and I would love to know what you think about this DIY down in the comment section below. For this last DIY, this might be a familiar piece to you. I had created this little kissing booth back in February for my Valentine's Day booth, but my family is more into Halloween, so I wanted to recreate this little kissing booth into my little haunted sweets booth. So the first thing I needed to do was give it a nice solid coat of black acrylic paint. And that's all I did. It really was add that black acrylic paint everywhere. Now each of these little shelves has this little foam heart. I did remove one of the hearts on the other side, but the hot glue didn't want to come off, so I left this heart foam on this shelf. I will continue painting until the whole thing is covered in this black acrylic paint, and I do give it 2 coats of this paint. But if you are new here and have noticed that you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to do that today. All you have to do is click that big red subscribe button down below and make sure to click on the bell notification so that YouTube can always notify you when I upload a new video. And I would love for you to be part of my virtual art family where we do all things creative here with an artistic twist. After the paint had time to completely dry, I noticed that I still saw the kissing booth wordage underneath the black paint, but I didn't worry too much because I wanted to add words on top of it using these foam sticker letters that were gifted to me. I wanted to try to make my words as even as possible, so I tried to use the ruler method, but the foam letters were really sticky, so pulling them off was really hard, but not to worry, the ruler still helped me make it as straight as possible. And as you see here, I did spell out pick your poison. Then once that word was placed down, I did use the same foam letters to put in on that little spinning piece underneath. One side says come in and the other side says go away. I wanted to add more details to my display, so I took a white Posca paint marker and I started to make little lines. Now where the X's are, I will fill that in with a white acrylic paint, and I did this to both sides. Once that was done, I wanted to make some green ooze, and to do that, I'm still using the caulk method where I add it to a bowl and then add some green acrylic paint to it, mix it until I get the consistency and the color that I like, add it to a piping bag, and now I'm going to pipe it all over the edges of my little display. I try to push down into certain areas so it looks like it's dripping, but another method is to add a lot of that goo into one area and then tap down your little display and it will fall down with gravity. I continue adding that green ooze everywhere, all over my display, on the spinning sign, on the shelves, and even on the bottom piece of this display. And I just think it brings this whole thing together and it adds a perfect addition to my little spooky haunted sweets bar area. But that completes this part of the DIY. Once again, here is how everything turned out, and I absolutely love it. I think it's so awesome. It definitely gives me Beetlejuice vibes. It's everything that I was hoping it turned out to be, and I am just really happy how it came together. As always, I would really love to know what you think about all these DIYs down in the comments section below. And while you are there, I would love to know if you would like to see more spooky sweets being made in the future. Remember, if you are new here and haven't yet subscribed, I would love for you to do that today. All you have to do is click on that big red subscribe button down below. It's totally free. And make sure to click on the bell notification so that YouTube can always notify you when I upload a new video. And I would really love for you to be part of my virtual art family. If you would like to help support my channel, I would love for you to check out my Buy Me a Coffee page. The link is down in the description box below. And if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to smash that big thumbs up button. It really does help out my channel. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.